we are going to talk about our lineup of boards. We did a podcast previously before we left. So this one is a recap of his boards because he has been here for a few weeks now and has ridden all 4 of them a lot.
Yeah, we'll do yours when you get that.
Yeah, I'm still switching between boards, making sure I ride them properly. So
yeah, we can use yours. We can do a bit of a recap of what happened with your 2 weeks riding with your fiance and your brother. See how many injuries Neil got.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Boardcast.
Yeah, this is going to be just my little rundown on what I found out about these 4 boards. When I was talking about it, firstly, there's a few dudes that commented and they thought they knew which board I'd like the most, and everybody...
Wait. Which one did they say you would like?
Gremlin.
And which one did you let's recap, prior to leaving?
Not the Gremlin.
Prior to leaving, which one did you think that you would like the best?
I kind of had a sense that I would like the Jetstream the most.
I cannot remember which one I said for you.
I was tossing out between this and this.
I think that's,
Yeah, and...
I said you wouldn't like the Gremlin, I think.
I liked it.
I think out of those 3, I can't remember which order I placed them. We'll have to look at that.
Yeah, we'll check it out. But I can tell you now, look, I'll quickly just do the fish.
Yeah, do the fish.
But I'll just bring it forward. So
I'll hold it.
See. The fish, you got it?
Yeah.
The fish, it's a fish.
It's going to be...
Yeah. Careful, the paper
We've
walls.
got paper walls.
I've ridden a lot of fish over the years. I've ridden Karuas and all sorts of stuff over the years. This is as good as any of them. For the money, it's probably one of the best value fish I've ever ridden. It was great. In deep snow, like there was only one day where it wasn't enough board, and that was not its fault. It's only a 153. There was one day where it was up to here and we were both really battling to kind of get our boards to work in that deeper snow. It was so crazy. You could never see your board. So it's really hard to turn a board you can't see. It just is an incredibly good board.
And you can see where you last rode your bindings, which is all the way back.
Very back. That was for that day. I think I pretty much rode it at the back settings every time. It was so deep, this trip.
Yeah.
Here's my opinion on Quivers. If you're an average rider, average Joe who doesn't ride switch and doesn't ride park, you need 2 boards. You need a volume shifted board and you need a fish. The day that you switch onto your fish should be at least above your knees. And then anything below that, your volume shifted board's going to do a really good job of. But on the days where it is above your knees, these boards are a game changer. They make riding so much simpler. So yeah, the Salomon Wally HPS fish is as good a fish as there is on the market. Don't think it matters which fish you buy, but for value for money, this one's great. So that's all I got to say about that board. It's an amazing board. A fish is a fish to a certain extent, but
all right,
that one's really good.
I want to go in order. Let's start with the Gremlin.
Okay.
Because I feel like...
Well, I got what I thought I'd get with the Gremlin. It's a very, very aggressive version of the Orca.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask questions to prompt you throughout this to get the most out of you and your personal opinion on these 3 boards. Yeah. When you say aggressive, what are you referring to?
The way it responds. When you put energy into it, it puts energy out. So it's kind of like if you hook a turn on it, it pushes you through the turn. It's not just a passenger in your riding. Yeah. It becomes very much, the harder you carve, the more it'll hold.
Do you have to always put...
Nah, you can ride it pretty soft, but you have to be a decent rider to ride a board soft if you're.
Yeah. So like when you're
Soft is the
saying
wrong
it's
word.
aggressive, it's only aggressive when you put the energy into it.
Yeah, but a beginner would struggle on it because
Yeah.
it's kind of edgy.
Yeah. So if you're a decent dude who's got a bit of weight behind him, or is an aggressive rider, like
Yeah.
really carves and puts a lot of energy into turns.
If you can carve on your toe side, look, there's carving and there's carving, right? I'm 53. I'm not going to kid myself anymore. I'm not getting down to my elbows, ripping the elbow out of my jacket. I just don't have the energy or power to do that stuff anymore. So for me, I'm like saying if you're a guy who can carve to the point where you're confident enough that you've just let your whole, like you'll push your body weight forward when you're on your toes and your legs will feel dead straight, then that board will never let you down. It's never going to collapse under that. It's never going to just wash out under you and the board goes that way and your face hits the ground. It won't happen. Like if you put a ton of energy through the toe side of that board, it'll hold it. It's not got the float that I thought it would have. For a volume shifted board, it blasts through the powder up on Hokkaido because it was really light and dry powder. But down here where the powder is a little bit heavier, a bit thicker, it didn't float as well as the Orca does. So I've ridden a Libtech Orca 153 for quite a few years. That's a 5.5, but that's a 5.3. So you're talking about
2 centimeters.
Nothing. It looks but barely anything. It just didn't float as well as the Orca. I think that's the rocker in the middle of the Orca. And it was aggressive. Like it's a really hard edge holding board. If you want to go fast and carve and you're a 25-year-old who's just a beast out there and banging through trees and just more aggressive, like you're in control of your board the whole time.
Still holds up in powder.
Yeah, it's good.
But you're talking like when it got deep, it was
a lot of work.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like it didn't give me the lift that I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, loved it. Great board. It's perfect. I'm going to try to give you an assessment of who I think the board should be for, because I'm not the guy anymore. I'm old enough.
Well, you asked for some of them.
Yeah, I'm old enough and smart enough to go, that board's not for me. The GNU Gremlin is not for me. A 53-year-old who is tapering off from power. Like I'm nowhere near as powerful as I was 20 years ago. So I'm probably just as physically strong. I'm just not as powerful. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Like I don't ride with the attitude of nothing can hurt me. I ride with the attitude of, don't be an idiot, you can die. So that's not for me anymore. If you're a 25-year-old or 30-year-old who's just a beast and ride like an absolute warrior out there and just smashes everything, that's the board for
What
you.
about like a 30, 40-year-old that's got a bit of weight behind him, or
like a bit heavier.
Like a dude that's,
I think it was a bit
goes to the gym or works out or is just built differently.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a skill level thing.
Yeah.
You can be a big dude and still be shit snowboarder.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's still a good rider. Like obviously I'm not saying a beginner in that physique, but I'm just saying like a guy that's got a little bit more power to his structure.
More weight maybe. It felt big for me. It just got a bit big. I'm not riding a lot of 5.5 volume shifted boards. They're too big. So yeah, anyway, it's a great board. It is worth every cent. It's built incredibly well. It looks beautiful. It rides fast. It's got magnet traction, so on shitty conditions, it's just going to hold an edge and rip. And it's a good board. I'd highly recommend it for a powerful snowboarder, someone who wants to just be a weapon out there.
All right. Next.
Well, these were the two that I was pretty convinced I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I am so impressed with these two
Let me bring
snowboards.
it forward. It's just so you're not turning around and not facing the camera.
Yeah. In order of like board. Okay. These two are interesting. I almost need to talk about them together a little bit, but I'll just talk about the Jetstream.
Do you want to? We don't know the tech on this too much.
No, I don't know really what's in it, but we'll find out this year when all the tech sheets come out. But this board, I can kind of guess what's in it. It's definitely got some sort of carbon going on up here because it doesn't chatter at all. It is, if you're looking for a volume shifted board that tends more towards not having to have a fish, this is your board. Like it's going to cover a lot of that deeper snow. Like I rode this in days that were waist deep and it had no problem at all. It is such a nice snowboard to ride. It feels loose in the tail, so it's really nimble in the trees. For a board that's got a really big nose, it was really nimble through the trees, almost like a fish.
You've ridden this at reference.
Yeah, I wrote it at reference just to find out what it did. I have to pull my reference in by a centimetre at the back because it's quite wide. So I come forward a centimetre, like just using the disc. Yeah, I'm still riding that, but the disc is forward.
Yeah.
And this one I'm dead reference. So
Yeah.
I didn't really mess too much with it. I wanted to write it at reference. I wanted to understand what it was built for. It floats really well. It carves really well, holds an edge really well, and it's super nimble. Don't know what else you'd want from a board. If this is the replacement for the Dancehall Pro, they nailed it. It's got to be better in powder than the Dancehall Pro was. It's just got a bigger nose, so no chatter. Surprisingly no chatter. So good board to compare it to would probably be the Jones Mind Expander Now or the Karua Tranny Finder. I think from a tech point of view, this probably got more going on. The bass is super fast on this. So it was actually really, really good board. I'm going to leave it here for Claire's fiance, Neil, to ride, who's a bit of a beginner still. I'd call him beginner mediate.
Intermediate, yeah.
And I really want to get his opinion on it just to see what someone who's had very little riding experience feels like on that. Like it's a great board. I really loved it. But if you're a jib, like if you tend to more want to play around or ride switch, not so much. So it's a one quiver board for a guy who doesn't ride backwards and doesn't really like buttering or anything. He's
just has no desire to do like park.
Yeah. If
you could still do side hits
it didn't ollie as nicely as the Almanac. I'll talk about the other one in a minute, but its side hits are fine. Here's pop off stuff.
Freestyle riding?
Not so much. Not so much at all. It's pretty much a free ride powder board. It's a volume shifter board that worked really well in powder and can carve around. And if you're a dad riding with your kids or you've got a skier in your family and you want to follow them through those crazy skier lines that they take, this board's unreal. It was really good. I loved it. I actually love that board. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't win the four board battle.
For you?
No. The four board battle was comfortably won by the next board.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I can tell you exactly why. And Chunk's going to be so happy because it's a non-biased thing. Like
the bindings are still set up on this one.
I read it yesterday. This is called the K2 Almanac. I don't even know if we've ordered them. I don't even know if we've got them to sell you. So this has nothing to do with me trying to sell you something. This board is a volume shifted 153. I have never, ever ridden a board that's more versatile. I hate saying it, and everyone knows that because I've said it 1,000 times. A one board quiver is a nonsense statement, but this thing goes as close as I've ever ridden to a one board quiver.
Wow.
It didn't work as well once the snow got above my knees as the Jetstream or the Fish. Once the snow got above my knees, I kind of was like, oh, fuck, I wish I had more board under my feet. But I never moved it all the way back. So I think I could have improved the deep snow ride of it.
Yeah.
There's two settings. There's two references. One says freestyle, one says free ride. I left it at free ride the whole time. Yesterday, I found myself looking at you. We were just cruising down the mountain backwards. And I'm like, oh, that was weird. Because we were both going switch, facing each other. And when we're normally back to back. And we're just cruising down the hill yesterday. It happened for a couple 100 meters. Where I was like, that was weird. And I turned around and then went, oh, we were just facing each other. What the fuck? That's strange. So it rides backwards really well. It's a really nice board. It just covers, you can kind of butter on it. I was doing little wheelies on it and it was so fun, like little side hits. And in the trees, when you're in the deeper snow, it just feels bouncier. Feels like you could pop from sort of heel to toe really quick. And I absolutely love this snowboard. I think it is one of the best snowboards I've ever ridden. And that's a lot for me. I've ridden hundreds of snowboards. So
anything else about this? Anything that you didn't like, you personally, or anything that someone else would like?
I think anybody who knows anything about snowboarding would like this snowboard. I can't picture the person who wouldn't benefit from having this board in their lineup or just using, if you just want to take one board with you, this is the guy. Like for me, next trip to Japan, I would take this and the Salomon Wally. I'd just take the fish and the Almanac and I'd be done. There's no way I'd bother traveling with all. These two boards don't cover enough to make them different enough to travel with a third or fourth board, if that makes sense. So this with the fish,
So,
and I've got every
question, I know this is like, we're recording this, and this is kind of like a silly moment for me to ask you this, but it's raw, so I'm going to. You're leaving the Jetstream for Neil to try. Why are you
I
leaving?
don't want him to touch my fucking Almanac.
I was like, you just raved out this board and said it's amazing and it's so versatile.
I don't think we'd notice. I don't think
I
he's
was like,
gonna-
why? If this is the perfect board, why are you not leaving it for Neil?
Firstly, can Neil ride backwards?
No,
Can Neil ollie?
I'm not sure.
So fucking what's the point?
Yeah.
The two things that I think make this exceptional, just the way it little pops around in the trees, he's not going to notice.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no way
He
he's
just
riding.
means the board to ride
He
past.
needs to learn how to ride forwards in powder first.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense. But also, I don't want it getting damaged. And I'm going to fight Chunk tooth and nail to keep it. That's it. I love it. There's so few boards over my lifetime where I've gone, okay, I want to
It's
own
a pretty
that.
sick board too.
Yeah. I just want to own it. I don't, like if I'd sell every board I have right now and keep that, that's how far, like if you want me to rank them, it goes definitely 1 K2, Jesus, we're going to go through the paper wall. 1 Almanac, 2 Jetstream, 3 Gremlin, and the fish is in a category by itself. So yeah, it definitely goes 1, 2, 3. So the dude who thought I'd like the Gremlin the most doesn't know my riding style. I'm not saying you're wrong or it's wrong for you, but my riding style, Almanac by
That's
a
why.
fairly big.
That's why I said one. I can't remember which one I said, but I said you won't like the Gremlin. I remember saying you won't like the Gremlin because I know how you ride.
Yeah.
You're not an aggressive rider.
No, not anymore. I don't ride aggressively at all. I like to ride lazy.
You're quick and you're fast and
I'm just
you
lazy.
but you're not aggressive. You don't have that like
No, I'm not trying to smash everything anymore. I'm fucking 53, mate.
yeah.
And I'm not. Yeah, anyway, I absolutely loved riding all 4 of these boards, and I'd like to thank Marcus, Salomon, Jordan, and Chris from Bentley for letting me take them. They're unreal boards. I've enjoyed every minute of riding all of them. They all have a place, and you can't go wrong. The other little key takeaway I've got from this trip is that if you're spending, let's probably guess 1,000, 1,100 or whatever, say 1,000, right? If you're spending 1,000 in volume shifted land, you're not going to make a big mistake. You might not get it 100% right, but you're probably, unlike me, you won't ever get to ride the others, so you won't know that you've made a mistake. These 3 boards are exceptional. Almost anyone would be happy with any one of the 3. And I reckon if you grabbed a Capita, a Burt, and a fucking Nitro or whatever that was similar and put them all in a line and they're all about the same price point, you're not going to go too wrong. I don't think there's any significant difference. So buy the board you like. I'm not here to tell you what brands to buy and why you should buy this over this. I don't really care anymore. I just don't. I love K2. I love the K2. I haven't ridden K2 for fucking years, so it's a non-biased thing. I'm riding it. If that didn't say K2 on it and it said Nitro on it or a fucking Capita, I'd still love that board. I probably would never have ridden it because I would never get to ride those 2 particular brands. But if that said Ride or, one of the brands we did sell, I'd still be stoked with it. I think
It's more about the
awesome board. Yeah, I couldn't care less what brands on it. But turns out K2 Almanac's a ripping board. The Salomon Jetstream is also a ripping board, and the GNU Gremlin, I knew what the GNU Gremlin was going to be before I got here. I shouldn't have brought it. I'm an idiot. Because I've got an orca, right? And an angry orca is going to be an angry orca. And it was. So anyway, there you go. That's my board wrap up. I'll do a bit more of a tech talk on them when they come into stock this year, and I know a little bit more about what's inside them. But yeah, they're all amazing boards. So had a good time.
Awesome.
It's been fun.